and it's called bio-awareness disparity. It's not just here. Globally, people seem to value forests more than grasslands. And how do we change that? Because unless you change that, we're not going to be able to sort of address these issues that impact biodiversity. You should think about where these trees are going to be planted, right? And if it's planted in the right place, then that's great.
Now I'd like to call upon Dr. Ashish Nimgaonkar. Dr. Nimgaonkar is a physician scientist, entrepreneur and educator. He is founder and chief medical officer and chief of R&D at Glycin Therapeutics.
You know, when it comes to innovation in biomedicine, it's really hard, right? And by definition, innovation requires interdisciplinary crosstalk and collaboration across different aspects of research and development. So no matter how promising a collaboration is, it is essential to build that relationship and address potential failure points very early on in that partnership. Because at the end of the day, we are, as individuals, are only one drop, but together we make the ocean. And so it is critical that we have a shared vision and alignment as we execute on a goal which is for the greater good.
This is an important moment. In some ways, in the global startup policy, this is a watershed moment because until now, G20 has had only one group that represented businesses called the B20 or the Business 20. Going forward, there will be two groups representing businesses. B20 that will represent the large corporations and Startup 20 will represent startups and the SMEs. This is the first year in G20's history when startups have written a policy recommendation for the world leaders.
If we have to talk of one institution in India that has shown the power of partnerships for building innovation, it is BIRAC.
I think the international standards are expanding at a very great accelerated pace. You have now AI embedded into fermentations and all, digitalization across. I really feel that if we have to come to, the standards of say Samsung Biologicals or Celtrion, we may have to have some collaborative work or engaging with them, bringing them to Indian scenario.
We said the regulator sets the standard, but ab initio, setting ourselves up for global standards is the other aspect that one should look at, and not merely meeting the bar.
In fact, if you look at, say for example, people talk about cultured meat. I mean, at one point, 2 years ago, it was considered to be a very attractive technology for alternate proteins. But today, a lot of people come back and say probably its greenhouse effects are as bad as what it was to be with the animals.
Biotech 2022 annual report. I don't know how many people have read the Biotech annual report. I want to see how the really top of the line biotech companies planning their business, and annual reports actually is very detailed. They started in 2008, in 15 years. They had an IPO in 2019. Now they are present in 5 international locations. The time our startups wait because the awards will be declared.
A part of this very important annual flagship event, IKMC, and very glad that day one has gone off very well. Congratulations to all the awardees, all the award winners once again.
IKP is interested in life science, but the monthly incubator meeting is across the domains.
Science and Technology Cluster. So we are currently a Government of India initiative.
We have one student-based startup called Abhyom Space Tech. They are building India's first reusable launch vehicle.
Incubator from hospital, LV Prashad.
Experiential water is what we can see, feel, drink, taste, all of those things. And we use it for, whatever purposes we have, basically cleaning more than anything else. We drink very little, but clean, wash, clean, and so on. And it amounts to something like 180 liters in a city which is well serviced. This is the Indian standards, now reduced to 135 liters in many places per person per day.
One day after the COVID lockdown announcement, IKP started a program called ICO Fund, and they are one of the recipients and did exceptionally well. Just to introduce about this meeting and context for our visitors as well. In Hyderabad, there are 75 incubators across domains, life science, engineering, edutech, all together. IKP is interested in life science, but the monthly incubator meeting is across the domains. So we meet every month at an incubator to know what they have to offer. Can the other incubators make use of those things? They don't have to buy the same things what they have. If there is a particular equipment that is not used, the new incubator need not buy that one. So they will buy the next level equipment or a higher version. So that way this meeting is very useful. And we also discuss all our problems because working with innovators, scientists, early stage engineers with ideas to transition is a very complex thing. They are just out of college, university, amazing energy, lot of hope. They believe the government, they believe us, because there are some success stories. In the campus you have seen few companies who have grown just from a scientific entrepreneur coming and going to 10 billions. So that's a hope for them. So it is our responsibility to keep up to their expectations and help them in our capacity. So whenever we discuss for the new incubation managers working in these centers, how they can cope up with these things, we have a very nice analogy actually. I will just repeat that one. When half the time football, the score is 0-3, your team is 0, opponent is 3. You can push your team for 4-3. They may become 0-6. You may lose your team, or you can tell your team you have 45 minutes, you improve from the previous half, 0-3 is fine. Just maintain 0-3. So at the end of the game, you might have lost the game, but you have a better team for the next match. So that is what all the incubation managers try to work with all these engineers and scientists. And thanks to all my friends.
A couple of startups that we are coming up with is Atmos Blue. It is air to water technology. There is moisture in air, and there is dearth of groundwater because population is going up in India. And then now with this technology we are able to bottle 1,000 liters a day from the current prototype, and that is one thing. And we are coming up with Gynecare, Gynecare.in, because there are many communities in India who are shy physical systems, right, into digital education, right. They're providing an edtech platform that enables universities and colleges to offer courses and programs via online. They are helping these universities and colleges to offer these solutions online. That being said, we have some core technology products as well, like let's say fructooligosaccharides, it's basically 100%, it's a biotech product. It's a 100% dietary fiber, but then it looks like honey and tastes like honey. Imagine that is so sweet, but then it is probiotic and a prebiotic, and then it helps improve your immunity, and it's otherwise termed as billionaire sugar. So because it is quite expensive elsewhere in the US. Now we are collaborating with Revelations Biotech Private Limited to diffuse that product into the domestic markets.
Revelations Biotech.
Revelations Biotech.
Exactly. Great. So Revelation, one of the team from IKP, and they are helping them.
So I'm Sushmita. I'm representing RICH. RICH stands for Research and Innovation Circle of Hyderabad. We are based out of T-Hub. We are a sister entity similar to T-Hub. We were started way back by 2017 by Telangana government as one of the ecosystem players which will connect research institutes, academic institutes and industry. So we work, our mantra is collaboration. We do not have an infrastructure. We tap on the existing infrastructure. So we partner with IKP, CCMB and the other incubators. We are one-stop solution for anybody who has a need, whether be it industry, whether be it an academic institution or a startup. So they come to us, we look for partners who can help them out. So we work with others, as I said, so it's a collaborating institution. We focus on 3 verticals: food and agriculture, health and life sciences, and sustainability. Currently, our big project is on green hydrogen, where we are building the consortium for green hydrogen. So we are also part of the Office of PSA. So Office of PSA, Principal Scientific Advisor to Government of India, has 7 city cluster initiative. And at Hyderabad, instead of finding one more entity, Science and Technology Cluster. So we are currently a Government of India initiative. And yeah, that's it in short for us. And this is one of our initiatives which we do along with TSIC. So bringing the incubators together, collaborating, ensuring that there is exchange of information and collaboration is one of our core activity.
I'm Sandeep Raut. I'm from the Beach Pilani Hyderabad campus TBI Society, Technology Business Incubator. So Birla Institute of Technology and Science has 4 campuses, Pilani, Hyderabad, Goa and Dubai. And we have a centralized system that we have a central committee who look after all the technology business incubator at these campuses. We are basically DST supported TBI, and our thrust area is medical devices, healthcare and ICT for other purposes as well. So just to name 2, we have one student-based startup called Abyon Space Tech. They are building India's first reusable launch vehicle, and they have several national and international awards. Secondly, we have 2 faculty startups which are into, one is into cosmetics and one in healthcare at some advanced stage, and one of the startup is presenting here, Cleom. Please have a visit.
Called IKP Global Access Program, where we want any startup to go for any program. For example, if they have to go to bio, they can't spend 20 lakhs. But IKP takes a stall in bio, and we also pay for the ticket and stay. It might look for a small money, but for this team to go and interact. For example, Judy and Ramji, Deepanvita, they all met in that stall. So we want to facilitate these interactions for some of the startups, and last year a few of the companies are there. Maybe I request bikers. Yeah, can you just stand up? So we have mentioned few times. So maybe they will be coming to Bio US, their team. They are a 48-member team in the University of Hyderabad. They work on biosimilars. Abhishek, thanks to Judy and Mark for the early introductions. Abhishek spoke in so much detail, and he sees a lot of opportunities working with the team. So we will follow up on that one separately. And yeah, so can I have the next slide? Yeah, we can just skip this thing. As I mentioned, this is an opportunity for the innovators to go on a global stage. We try to make small cohorts. So we take all of them together, like how Montgomery Council came today here to interact with all the startups so that they can leverage on our network. And what they will get, they can use our stall, we can provide them basic connects with the local people. So we have a large group of scientists who are working across US. You might be knowing, most universities have Indian associations. So we have 11,000 member association team from IISc, IIT, BITS in US. So it started as a career support group. So we have 11,000 scientists across US, be it Harvard, Oxford, Stanford, to any place you name, we have a person from these institutes. So they will actually work with these startups, be it introduction, be it finding a room. It can be as simple as whom to call for a visa or immigration. These are very, look simple, but yesterday, other team member from county is explaining it needs certain expertise. So these people have, and that is what IKP helps them. And thanks to your team, maybe this time we will come to you instead of going to that group. And because we can't, IKP alone cannot help all these people. So we need Montgomery Council, we need CDFD. CDFD is a Center for DNA Fingerprinting and Diagnostics. So they have a new incubator, and Dr. Ajit Kamath will be mentoring them. And thanks, Ramji is also here. So, every institute has a specialization. So we bring all these things together, we all work together. So we are much stronger. And that is what IKP, thanks to, 25 years. So we know all these, and, we don't feel like a competition, and everybody feels very comfortable. Yeah, these are the last cohort I mentioned: Bikers, Parishodhana, Logie, Startoon Labs, Monitra, and UR Therapy. These are all having stalls down. If you have time, please visit these people. Bikers, they will visit you in US. Okay, when Abhishek is bringing them, I want you to meet in US. But when you are here, I want you to meet Logie.ai. They are working with Colgate USA and Colgate Africa, image based. So when you are buying a toothpaste, there is a small QR code which activates AI-based imaging program. It will tell whether you have dental caries or you need to go to a dentist, whether there is any possibility of a oral cancer. It will give the report. Can you imagine, like, for a 1 cent, the startup is able to do for them? So they have done that. They are also a Biotechnology Ignition Grant member. And yeah, Startoon Labs. Thank you, Satya. And I was talking about the BSc program, and he is the person who designed that program. So there are more than 1,000 people across India, researchers, who benefited from that program. And most of the names you see. So when you are going down, I want you to visit Startoon Labs, Ashwa Wearables, when you are entering, first on the left side in the exhibition. So Judy wanted to take the team, and I request Mark to invite all of you to the exhibition, and I request Mark to speak now. And we will keep the announcement of this cohort for the next 10 minutes.
So I'm really happy to be here. I've been here 3 days, my first time I've ever been to India. So it was an amazing flight. I've never been on an airplane that long, and I've never seen traffic like this. So it's kind of really remarkable. But on the other hand, the culture and the intellectual culture here is just astounding. And the number of facilities you have and the depth at which you're able to do work here makes me very envious. We have lots of companies. Probably our weakest spot is in the incubator space. We're the third largest cluster of biotech companies in the country. We've probably got number 4 in terms of tech talent. We've got probably the most PhDs and postdocs of any place in the country. So we lead in a lot of different ways, and we've got major US corporations and international corporations who make Montgomery County their home. But the thing we really need to do is really push up what we do in the incubator space to grow more. And so for me, coming in and talking to people in incubators and seeing how your incubators are structured has been really informative. I get a sense of what's possible, and the fact that you're able to do this here, and the fact that, it was mentioned here and it was mentioned to us yesterday, the possibility of even doing collaboration across continents using live streaming is something, we couldn't even imagine 10 years ago. And now you have the ability to literally sit in a room with each other and talk about common problems and things that you're trying to solve with other people who may be doing the same thing across the world. So you almost have like a global campus, which is something I imagine we'll all evolve toward, a kind of global approach to how we share knowledge and how we distribute knowledge. And we want to be part of that. So one of the things the county offers for people, incubators coming over, we can get you connected to legal services, so you can get your visas, but also so you can incorporate your counties in Montgomery County in the state of Maryland. That's important because Incorporating here means you now have access to federal, state, and county grants. And so we can help provide support, and we give grants based on the number of jobs people bring. There are grants based on moving expenses. There are grants where we underwrite rents per square foot to help make the space that we have more affordable to people who are moving and ready to transition. So we want to be able to provide soft landings for people in Montgomery County. We want to put you in an environment where you've got a lot of closely clustered companies that are doing work in this field where you can find people you'd want to partner with. I definitely want to talk to the person who said green hydrogen, because I'm mildly obsessed with this. We're about to redo our solid waste facility. We're moving to mandatory food recycling. And when that happens, you know, I don't want to burn that food. I want to turn it into gas. And methane's easy, but if there's a path to hydrogen off of food, we want to know what it is. I understand it's like 2 bacteria and a fungi from what I could tell from my research with AI. But if this is feasible and doable, this is something that is happening in real time in Montgomery County. So I hope you or anybody else who has interest in that particular field feels free to reach out to us and talk to us about it. But in the long run, we really do want to develop partnerships with people here. And if you notice our delegation, it's not just a bunch of government people here saying, come to Montgomery County. We brought a lot of people from the business community in Montgomery County, and a lot of them are looking for opportunities to expand in India as well. So I look at trade as a two-way street. It does not make sense for us to tell people to move to Montgomery County. We want you to expand to Montgomery County, and we want Montgomery County businesses to be able to expand in India, because we should grow both economies, not one or the other. This is an opportunity for us to grow both. I know you all have a long history of colonialism. Sadly, it was longer than our history of colonialism, but the principle is the same. First world countries extract from third world countries and leave them with the worst. We want to make sure we're in a situation where we're dealing with each other as equals and we're providing equal value to each other. So this is really important to me personally, because I have a sense of history that tells me you need to do the right thing, and that we're in a place now we can do it. And also in our delegations, two people that want to make note of, Amitabh Varshney, who's dean at the University of Maryland, and he's responsible for setting up in Montgomery County an Institute for Health Computing, which is going to begin the process of marrying AI to biological research. And starting to do this is at an earlier age for scientists. I mean, I saw scientists who were using this, but there are people who are older and picked it up in the process of doing the work. I can only imagine what would happen if young minds were exposed to it and then started approaching the work they do, already knowing what they could explore using artificial intelligence. So we're excited about that. We're going to have an institute in Montgomery County. It's going to be on top of a metro station, which for us is a big deal. And Amitabh has just been a great friend in this project. And we also brought with us Ash Shetty, and Ash is most notably our procurement officer in Montgomery County. So people who want to do business and have products that are, you know, day-to-day to sell, or services day-to-day to sell that governments buy, we wanted our procurement officer to come over here and get exposed. So that's helped. Evan Glass is here. He's one of the council members in Montgomery County. Bill Tompkins is here. He's the head of the Economic Development Corporation. Judy Costello, who a lot of you got to meet earlier in the process of getting all this put together, is here, and she's done an amazing job. And then you can look around the room and figure out who came from where we are. Where is Montgomery County? It is on the east coast of the United States. It's about a 3-hour drive from the Atlantic Ocean. It is about 60 to 90 minutes to the mountains, which is kind of nice and cooler. And we're a lot cooler right now than it is here. And we're right next to the nation's capital, which is a good or bad thing, depending what kind of silliness is going on over there. But everybody knows about silliness in the political world, so we're not the only ones. And so we're dealing, you know, we're close. And so we're close to major corporations. We have the FDA. So if any of you have anything that's going to need approval to get into the U.S. market, this is the place to be. If you wind up on where we're going to do the center, you're like a 15 to 20 minute drive away from FDA. NIH is like 2 metro stops from this. So, and then we've got a biotech cluster, which is up in Shady Grove, which is another 2 metro stops in the opposite direction. So we have a lot of concentrated things in Montgomery County. We have the Henry Jackson Institute. They do military medicine, except military medicine isn't exclusively military medicine. If you're dealing with burns and severe wounds, it applies to soldiers because they get them disproportionately, has implications for medical care in general. So we're in the middle of all this, and we're looking to grow, and we came here to find partners to grow with. And so I invite you to find out more about us. If you're interested, or you get to the point where you think you might want to explore American markets, we're here to help you get into the American market. And last thing I'll say about Montgomery County, one of the most diverse places in the United States. 1/6 of our population is Asian, not a small number. We were 95% white in 1970. We are 54% not white today. So we've integrated lots of different people and lots of different cultures into Montgomery County. You will find amazing Indian food in Montgomery County. And some of us can show you the restaurants. But there's a lot there culturally. There are temples in Montgomery County. We have a very active community we work with. So you would find us, I think, an interesting place to be and a comfortable place to be. So anyway, thank you all very much for giving me time.
Thank you. I think it's great to have the entire team here, from Montgomery, with the entire delegation here with a lot of expertise in various areas. And as you rightly pointed out, I think it's a partnership, global partnership is the one that's going to take us forward. Things have changed a lot. I completely agree with you. For a period of last 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, when we were all doing research, I did most of my work, preclinical drug discovery at Pfizer. We used to interact with some of the incubators there in the US, but now seeing all the youngsters doing it, and then this being a place for incubator managers to join together, it's a lot that the incubatees can benefit from. Okay, so my request to all the incubatees and then of course the incubation managers is to make sure that you take the benefit of this. Okay, they are coming with a lot of expertise, okay, a lot of knowledge, and more than that, their willingness to partner with us. Okay, so please take care of this and see how best we can partner with them and take some of the partnership forward so that we can bring some medicines or anything for the patients and for improving the humanity. We have had visitors from New Jersey. I don't know if they visited here. They have been visiting US, from US, they were visiting various parts of India, trying to do the partnership. We had people from Switzerland, offering very similar things. Various, parts of people from Switzerland coming here and saying, we want to partner. Again, this is a message for all the youngsters sitting there, it's opening up. There is opportunity for us from people from India to go and set up something so that we impact not only just India, but also outside, collaboratively, taking their advice, taking their partnership, and bringing some things together synergistically to the world. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't get your name. Welcome to India. Mark Helrich. Okay, thank you. Welcome to India again, and all the guests from outside India. Salubrious climate, wonderful to be in Hyderabad. Great to see you. My name is Satya, and very closely I've worked with Dipanvita over the last 15 years. I'm kind of an ecosystem person, building an architecture of biotech innovation in India. Last year, this time, thanks to the US government, I got a fellowship to go and spend a month across 6 places across the US, starting with DC, then Philly, then Akron, somewhere in Kalamazoo, saw Stryker's headquarters, and then Cleveland, Ohio, and then went to the West Coast to San Diego. We didn't want to go to the Valley. Everybody goes there. So, and then we saw a mix of things, the kind of innovation that is happening. In Philly, we went to the Navy Yard, which is, I don't know, it's where the US ships were decommissioned, were brought to decommission, and now it's become empty. I think the decommissioning happens now in the West Coast. So I think the state of Massachusetts, is it? Yeah, has given it at a very, almost a throwaway price of 1,200 acres of land to build biotech innovation there. So that was an amazing thing to see. But you have had a glimpse of what exciting stuff is happening in Hyderabad, and that is an exemplar of what is actually happening all across India. Hyderabad is leading in pharma innovation in India for the last 30, 40 years, 50 years. And the incubators that are here, I mean, many of them come with resident startups. You name it, those companies, those startups. Startups, as another colleague of us in IKP said yesterday, are rebels, right? Because they are the ones who are shaking things up, trying to do new things. And what we do in India now with the incubation space, IKP, to me, is the leading organization in this space. And what we do, I don't work in IKP, by the way, so it's an unbiased opinion, is we are in the biotech, medtech, health tech, agri-tech, whatever you can think of. If you think in terms of S-curves, we are just getting into the place where the hockey stick part of the S-curve will happen. Over the last 15 years, what has happened across India, you see this here, this is of course older than 15 years, has been the time when, in terms of microbial culture, is still there. And we are just going to go now, shoot up in the next 10, 15 years. But what we need for the incubators, especially for our startups within the incubation space, is to really understand different markets, including the most regulated markets, whether it's the US or Japan or EU. So if those kind of information can be shared between your county, which is, as you said, is in the shadow of FDA, it would be amazing for our startups. That's number one. Number two, I think for our incubators to come together and have one voice to then connect with your part of the world, to see, I do not know, there must be India to US, Indo-US programs that we can leverage in terms of, I don't know, co-development. Gates Foundation is very active in India, so is Rockefeller Foundation. Actually, IKP was the first organization that partnered with Gates Foundation for grand challenges in India, right, Dipanvida? Right. So what was evident to me last year while I was going around the country is that, I could see why US is US, right, in terms of innovation, right? The ability to focus and dive down and really the breadth and the depth of it. I think that glimpse, if our startups can have, we met many startups, and interestingly, Dipanvita, the problems that they face are similar to here. Everybody's looking for funding.
Satya is the strategic advisor of our only diagnostics unicorn from India. It's small bio, big tech. And he actually lives in Berlin, but he wants to always say that I'm in India, but he shuttles between the two. Do is now say why and how, just not IKP, but all the incubators, because we work as city as a whole. It's just not IKP, we being one of the oldest and the largest incubation system. It's not about we working in silo and alone. If we have to work as city as a whole, and Arvind, if you are there, you just stand and Sushmita, they represent an organization called RICH. You've introduced already. Oh, that's wonderful. So I would think we should have a strategy for Hyderabad and the Montgomery County, how the Hyderabad startups can leverage. And it's just not Hyderabad startups, it's about Indian startups. So you'll see that there are a lot of startups from outside Hyderabad as well, because we work pan-India. And the idea today, every month we have in Hyderabad an incubator meet. That itself just says, and we have 57. But each time I ask Jayesh Ranjan, he just increases the number. So I'm very confused. You call it 70 today? Running 70. Oh, okay. So if there are 70 incubators, it's quite confusing. And today we have about 25? Yeah. About 25 incubators present here. So this is an ecosystem which is, I can't call it a microcosm of India. It's actually a sizable part of the Indian ecosystem. So very glad to have all of you. You took the time and effort to come here. Of course, Satya, they're also going to visit one of our anchor companies, USP. USP is headquartered.
I know, it's right here.
No, they're not headquartered in their county.
Yeah, in India. Yeah. So I remember when USP came.
Yeah, you remember.
India, right?
So I remember from the day one, Srinivasan was the person at that time. I don't know any one of you had interacted with Srinivasan. And of course, Ron was there, a great pillar. And Girish Kapoor, who's heading the USP site in India, and I think he's looking at Asia Pacific as well. Girish will be here because Girish said, I'll also come. So that's a camaraderie we share. So it's not like IKP and everyone is a tenant. They're all partners here. This is a park where all the companies that are here are our partners. So anything that we want, even from a company like USP, they would say, yes, you can use our facilities, you can use. So, of course, one thing we do not share is IP. Intellectual property is sacrosanct. It's theirs. It's for each companies. But facilities and other activities we share. And that's the beauty of the park. And I'm sure there'll be similar facilities, similar opportunities that your county presents. And I've been to several places in the US and visited them. Of course, I am a regular at Bio for the last maybe 12 or maybe 15 years, but except for the 2 COVID years. Yes. They were supposed to leave today early morning. I said, no, you cancel your ticket. You are coming to the park. You cannot say that you're in India for a month and you're not going to visit IKP and you're going.
So actually, we were waiting for you. And we were discussing about IP and IKP fellows. So I would request actually Bikers team to come. IKP has signed, ma'am was discussing about importance of IP. IKP Prime, IKP Technology Transfer Office supported by World Bank and NBM. They were the last cohort IKP fellows and they are the team developing the biosimilars and as I mentioned, we'll connect with your team. So he successfully transferred a technology from French Institute, Vision Institute for a age-related macular degeneration and he is developing the novel biologic, maybe one of the first from an academic lab setup. Congratulations, and IKP Prime will be, very happy to work with you. IKP fellow for this next cohort. So he can go to Spain and France. He just came back, but yeah. Ashwa is just going to Medica in Germany, and they are in 50+ hospitals.
Hello, my name is Anmol Saxena. I'm the founder and CEO of Ashwa Vetech. So we wanted to digitize orthopedic, which is lacking today in the industry, unlike ECG for heart or blood tests for diabetes. For early detection of these injuries, you don't have anything for orthopedic. So what we've done is we've sort of digitized the biomechanical and kinematical movement of the joints, and then we give you quantified data reports. So at early stages, you know what's happening, and you can track your progress through physiotherapy.
Thank you very much.
On his way to raise
So, reasonably large, fine. So, we are a precision oncology company. Although we have an affiliate here in the at the Bionest Aspire Incubation Center, we work actively in the US. We have gone through 2 rounds of funding already, and we're looking at a double-digit to close very soon, as much as like next week. We're looking at prospectively getting India to the innovation ground, which I believe Dipanvita anyway knows my history.
And there are 2 more BIG teams. You heard about BIG, Satya, BIG, Bairak. So actually Apurva is the one person handling for all the incubators. She is handling the BIG program for last 3 years. And we have two more IKP fellows who couldn't be here. One is the BrainSight AI. They are actually working with Dassault Systems for developing a digital brain for FDA for simulations. They are based out of Bangalore. They are IKP fellow. They are IKP invested company. They received the BASE grant. We are very happy. They are doing exceptionally good. And another team is MicroGo. They are based out of Chennai. They are working on hygiene related solutions. So during COVID time, they quickly developed the touch-free sanitizer solutions, which can be used in the trains, hospitals, hotels, airports. Their first. So one day after the COVID lockdown announcement, IKP started a program called ICO Fund, and they are the one of the recipients and did exceptionally well. Thank you very much, and thank you everyone. So you have seen the fellows and all. They will be coming to Bio. They will be coming to your place, and looking forward to working with you all. Thank you, everyone. Please, looking forward to.
Sustainability is a myth, as we were discussing. What is sustainability for buildings? To discuss that, we have three eminent architects who work in that area. Dr. Vinod Gupta ji, at least two of them are School of Planning and Architecture veterans. And why I'm saying SPA is one of our leading, most important probably. And you know, Dr. Bhalla, Mr. J.R. Bhalla, because so SPA is an institute of eminence. We talk of institute of eminence in life sciences and other things. For planning and architecture, SPA is that institute. And and he's also the founding member of GRIHA. GRIHA is like you talk of LEED certification from US, the Indian certification agency is GRIHA. We have Dr. Benny Kuriakose. He is a civil engineer, and he's worked with Laurie Baker. So I'm just picking up phrases. So, and why I'm doing that, if you've not, please Google out Laurie Baker, if you don't know Laurie Baker. Because I'm not going to talk about Laurie Baker here, but he is one of the persons, I think, during my college and PhD, we all looked up to the work that Laurie Baker was doing. So I was so amazed to see I told Anja, can we get this person? And he said, oh, Benny, I know. So actually, so he is from Chennai, and he also does farmhouses. He also does commercial buildings and houses. He's doing something for builder names. You guys will know Hyderabad builder names. I didn't know that name. What name did you say? Phoenix. I say immediately, I have never heard this name. So it's important to understand how you build in ethos like what we are discussing today in various kinds of buildings. We are in this campus interested in commercial laboratories. It's not residence, but some of the ethos will remain the same. We have Dr. Anjan Mitra from the founder and promoter of an organization called his PhD from SPA. So, and I was told him, why do architects, my sister is an architect and she's also done a PhD and 2 years junior to Anjan, 3 years. But I think, why do architects need to do PhD? Anjan said, we also do research. Okay. So, Anjan happens to be a good friend of mine through my sister, but both he and his son, both architects, have become very good friends. And by the way, Anjan is also building a house in our ancestral home, an ancestral village. And the reason we are meeting here also, maybe at some point we will pick your brains to build a real, sustainable, what is called as, we have an organization called SINC, Sustainable Innovation, SINC, Sustainable Innovation innovation, not sustainability innovation center. What would the building of sustainability innovation center look like?
And this is by reducing our own greenhouse gas emissions and so on. But green building certification, LEED was the first one that happened, and when LEED came in 2001 to India, GREA was also taken up at about the same time. I think a few years later, Terry had evolved this system, and GREA rating became the Indian system for doing this. I have had problems with both of these systems because I believed at that time when this was being developed, this really did not take into account the factors that create sustainable buildings or campuses and so on. So when we talk about a building, it's the things that we put together. That is the building for us. But there are a whole lot of other systems that make this building possible. And I've always felt that these, while architects are able to deal with these, the building components, materials, and putting them together into creating the environment here, it is actually the systems that we create which are more important for us, which make the building survive. And if you are on a campus, then these systems become a lot more important. Greenhouse gases is one aspect of green building. The other thing which they worry about are water use in buildings, and reducing energy use, reducing water use, and making sure that the indoor air is clean without pollution, and the buildings don't cause pollution outside and so on. So these are the basic factors, and the materials that go into making these buildings also do not cause problems because of their production methods and so on. So my work for a long time has been on how we will service these buildings, or how we service campuses and cities for that matter. And I believe that the challenge that we face today is about water and not about energy at all. God has given us enough energy. So, we are putting solar panels everywhere, those who can afford it. So we'll have energy. This is not a big issue. But none of us in a campus or otherwise in a city are able to create water or get water from outside, because there is a limited amount of fresh water which is available, and we need to worry about that. When we talk about cities and we plan water systems and campus water systems, we are really talking about the what we call the experiential water consumption in the campus. Experiential water is what we can see, feel, drink, taste, all of those things, and we use it for whatever purposes we have, basically cleaning more than anything else. We drink very little, but clean, wash, clean, and so on. And it amounts to something like 180 liters in a city which is well serviced. This is the Indian standards, now reduced to 135 liters in many places per person per day. Per day. This is the experiential water consumption. It includes what we use in our toilets, we use for washing, cleaning, and bathing, all of those, and drinking, preparing food, and so on in the kitchen. The other water which every one of us uses every day, it is the water which it takes us to produce our food. And the amount of water that is taken by us, absorbed, which is not experiential, is virtual water consumption, is not 180 liters, it is 1800 liters per person per day.
And what would that be?
It is the water that would be there to grow the tea that has gone into this cup, and the milk that, and all the food that we eat. And it is not a non-vegetarian diet. We have taken the typical Indian diet, which has very little non-vegetarian stuff, but basically all the vegetarian food that we eat and so on, all this takes energy, water. and it is 1800 liters. So it actually makes no sense to worry about how much water we consume, experiential water we consume. The water that the water that we use in a campus, in a building, and so on, also comes out of this as dirty water, but it carries many nutrients in it. And one of the things that I saw yesterday, there are people here who were talking about changing the alternative systems of water management and so on. All our systems have been focused on taking care of the pollutants in the water. Our issue is that if there is a drought in any part of the country, in a city which is where the city is in a droughted state, the city is the only assured source of water supply at that time. Now this is a bit of a contradiction, because how does the city become? The city has political clout. The city makes sure that whatever happens to agriculture or villages and so on, the city will get its water supply. That we use, make dirty, and then we put it out, and that has all the nutrients in it, and this is the surest form of water which is available. It's only 180 liters or maybe 150 liters that comes out, but nevertheless, this is there. So we don't actually have systems, and I think this is where the biocon industry also has to apply to it. We need systems by which we can recover the nutrients in the water, and then we would be able to do better than what agriculture does. 70% of all the water in the world is used for agriculture. And it's basically inefficient system that we have. What we can do in urban situations where we are assured of this water supply and we have more money available, we can do more efficient systems of agriculture and thereby reduce our water consumption. If we were to apply, let's say, aquaponics or hydroponics or aeroponics, any of these systems which consume very little water to produce food, then the amount of water that we can save because of whatever we are consuming within the city or within a campus would be many times more than the amount of water which we have actually consumed in the city itself. So 180 liters is what we are talking about, but we can probably save, if we grew only vegetables and not grain, we'd save 300 to 400 liters per person per day. This is the possibility. Anyway, so I come to IIT Gandhinagar. They had asked us to do they were looking for a green sustainable campus at that time. None of these green building rating systems make sense because they are only talking about how to measure, what to measure per square meter of built space. How much space we build is not the question at all, and therefore we can do whatever we want. Next, please. So I feel that these goals, the goals that we set for ourselves in these systems are, one can simply focus on these goals and get points for them. And this is what has been done in a campus like this or in a building like this. And we didn't want to repeat this in IIT Gandhinagar. I had to set up new goals which we would be able to achieve differently. Let's please go ahead. So today, green buildings are now people are talking about net zero energy buildings. When they talk about net zero energy and net zero water, they're talking about space stations like this. So space station recycles all its water and all the energy it gets from the sun and so on. But they've forgotten that it requires a lot of energy and water and food from Earth to go up to this. We use exactly the same system for defining what a green building is. We don't consider what we are getting into it from different places. It's just simply measuring what we are doing within the building itself. Next, please. I think I'll go through this quickly. But the goals that we set up for ourselves were biodiversity was very important, social equity, minimum water and energy imports, zero waste, and car-free mobility. This is a 400-acre campus, and we wanted it to be car-free. And we wanted to grow energy and food within the campus itself. Next, please. This is the site. It had the river flowing next to it, and they had a village here and a road cutting through this. So this is the north campus. This is the north campus, this is the south campus. That's okay, I think I can just, yeah, let's go further, please. Next. Yeah, next. So, one of the things about this site was ravines that went through this. Next, please. They look like this and like this. This is part of the site. Some part of the site was flat like this, where there was an agriculture institute. But if we went through the ravines, we went to the river like this, which was very beautiful, and we felt that this is how this ought to be. So this site was planned so that everything should focus towards the river, and the entrance is here at this place. So one drives through the ravines and comes here into this, and that was the idea. And this part of the land was reserved for us to grow our food. So the idea was that this campus should grow its own food. They loved the idea. There were 75 acres of land reserved for this. They said, keep this plan, but we will use this for whatever purpose we want. They didn't want to grow food. Next, please. And so the buildings were designed with, I didn't design the buildings. We designed only the master plan for this. Many architects have come, including the most famous architects that we have in the country. Bimal Patel was one of them. No, that's a different matter. That is a different matter. But and Doshi was Doshi's office, Bimal Patel's office, and Miti Mitra from Pune. They were also there. So anyway, so the ravines had to be used in the best possible way. So we decided that for biodiversity, the North Campus, which had a lot of ravines in it, should be for biodiversity, and we should leave it like that. Develop some pockets of it, but not much. And these we could use for recycling our water, which these are ravines on the south side. Next, please. Next. Next. So we had to redo the plans for this. And the question was, if we have to talk to the stakeholders, who are the stakeholders in this? And we had to redefine this for ourselves, because construction workers on this site were the first stakeholders. And as long as this campus is being developed, the construction workers will be there. Not the same person, but they would be there. So our job was to provide housing for construction workers first, before we build anything else. That was the idea. It didn't happen like that. And then the engagement with neighbors and so on. Next, please. Yeah, I already talked about this. Okay, I've already talked about this. So a new plan was developed in this, and water became a very important element in this, and we defined water systems in this, and the methods that we use, water has been a very important part of our architecture also. So if we go to Rajasthan, you will see some of the most beautiful things have been built around water, whether it is lakes or it is bawdis, and ghats, and what do you call them? These open ponds, which are there, step wells. All these beautiful architectural things were there. Next, please. Next. I think I'll just. Next. This is the campus with a green spine that runs through it and that points to the river in this way. The hostels are here, the academic buildings are here, and sports facilities and so on, and housing is all located, staff housing here. Next, please. And this area, this area which had ravines is now used for treatment of water and recovery of waste and so on. This is buildings, design, academic buildings. Next, more of the academic buildings.
Sir, the roadway that you have planned to go to the campus through the ravines, is that there?
Yeah, yeah, it's here. So this is the roadway that comes here. This is the entrance to the campus. It went through a ravine. I may have a picture of this somewhere here. So inside the campus, it's all walkable campus. There are no cars inside in the academic areas, no cars in the residential areas either. So the ponds that existed, the low areas that existed, have been converted into parts of this architecture, and this is the entrance area. Managing this water created many opportunities for doing beautiful things on the campus. This is not something that we have done, but the landscape architects have done this, Shahir and Associates. And where there were existing ponds, again, they've been used for rainwater collection, and they become an important part of this campus. One of the things that happens is that water is not there all through the year. It is there after the rains. It may be there till December or so. After that, it just goes away. And they started putting water back into this because everybody loved this. They loved the water birds that were coming there and so on. But
Import water?
well, they were pulling it out of the ground, or so. But this is stopped now. This is a water collection center, which is rainwater from roofs, and you don't see this inside. That is all inside, but this is used as an architectural feature in the campus and so on. There are many of these which were, in the style of the Bowdies or new kind of system that we have. This is a look of the appearance of the academic buildings from the hostels, and all these passages which are there. These are walkable passages. These are the passages with solar shading and so on. Not very effective from the point of view of shading, but nevertheless, it was an idea that all these passages which are there in Ahmedabad, it's too hot to walk in the sun, so they should all be covered. And this walking is the only way that they will get from the hostels into the building. This is what it looks like. So some of the systems that are used there are for recovery of nutrients from this, and they are biogas plants to take care of this from the sewage that comes out. Not all of the sewage is processed like this, but some parts of it. And the solid waste also go into this. Even though the university did not plan to have agriculture, but the staff has got involved in this, and they grow organic food on the campus now using this, and this is part of that. Yeah. This is one of the systems which is again, I think, an architectural feature, which is for treatment or root zone treatment of sewage. The sewage flows through this. There is canna growing in it.
Note this, I'll talk to you later. Because why I just talk. Now our STP, all the STP of all the companies come here. Now we have excess water because we recycle the water.
Yeah.
Plus we don't have so much garden to give, and now we are thinking of doing, what do we do with that?
Agriculture.
Yeah. No, there is not enough. There's a lot water. I'll talk about that amount of water we generate, because we have, how much did we expand? 250 KL now. And
yeah, so this is maybe 1000 KL.
But this is our campus. Our campus is
one of the plants for this. So anyway, so these are architectural features in which the processing systems are there, and as a way of getting around the campus, some of the staff comes in cars from the residential area to the but a lot of other people use bicycles and so on, and a lot of people walk. And I think this is the last slide, and we have the Neil guys
that's what I'm saying.
on the campus, which is to prove really that we have maintained some of this biodiversity in the campus. Nobody wanted these here. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you. So it's thank you, and we really need to build wind flow and airflow of the buildings. The other is nothing to be more than 15 meters at that point, 3 floors, or because some of these are also lab and industrial buildings. And now it's 18 meters maximum that you can.
Why?
Huh?
Why?
Why we increased from 15 to 18? Because
Okay, 15 to 18, I thought you said 80 meters.
No, 18.
18 is fine.
So because we don't want high rise here.
So this is one of the things that we designed this campus around. There is one part of it which were allowed to be 8 floors or 10 floors, and this is to create a landmark in the campus. That's some of the housing, but everything else we have to prove to them that if you do only 3-floor high buildings for labs and 4 floors for residential buildings, sorry, staff housing is only 3 floors. Hostels are 4, sometimes 5 floors. This gives you the optimum density. You cannot increase this density simply by elevating this, and this took some proving, but it has worked here.
So I had a question. Yesterday, if I understood it right, you talked about this facility and how now AC, etc. had come in here. But the other one in Rajasthan that you built or designed is a completely natural cooling type of scenario. Are there any pictures that you could share of that?
Of that project?
The Nimrana project.
I don't know if there is any on this. Maybe but it'll take me some time.
No problem.
While he's presenting, I can maybe show.
So I was just curious because that seemed, especially for those of us who gone to Rajasthan, without AC and how it holds is a.
No, it is with AC. AC is evaporative cooling.
Evaporative cooling, that's what you
essentially, and we have a system of drawing air in underground tunnels. So there are 60-meter long tunnels through which the air is drawn. It already loses some 6 to 8 degrees of temperature. When it comes out, then we cool it further by water. For most of the summer this works. When the rainy season comes, this doesn't work, and that is when we add air conditioning to it.
Okay.
So only for that period of time. They manage the buildings at around 28 degrees centigrade, and this is very important because this system does not give, if you want 22 degrees, 24 degrees and so on. The other thing which happened was that the entire campus was cooled like this. So you could not say that the director's office does not have this system. This is really the thing which happens normally, that you have some parts which are air conditioned, that everybody else wants air conditioning. We designed this, they didn't like it very much because it didn't give 24 degrees or 25 degrees. We never claimed that this would give that kind of temperature, but they felt that this is something which students want. But anyway, the learning from this experience was that they're now sold for all times to come, that they will live without air conditioning.
That was a radiant cooling system?
Sorry? Not radiant.
Not even a radiant.
No, this is a centralized evaporative cooling system. The air is cooled and supplied to the all the buildings. I may have some pictures which I can show.
What will happen to us when we go out of the air conditioning clean rooms?
Sorry?
We are from the air conditioning clean room background.
Yes.
So, I would really love that kind of system comes, but it will have a huge impact on the convention.
Your industries, yeah.
No, it won't have it. Because this has air conditioning built into it, we just don't use it.
Only for the monsoon loading.
Yeah. So we are concerned about greenhouse gases. We are concerned about energy consumption. So this gives us the lowest possible energy consumption. As far as you are concerned, you are still selling air conditioning.
It's a good marriage for us.
By the way, the lead rating system was created by the air conditioning industry to sell more air conditioning to the rest of the world.
We had a long debate.
So as long as we are making lead rated building, we have air conditioning.
Okay.
Air conditioning is encouraged in lead rated buildings?
You get extra points if you use the latest technology.
The star rated.
Even the glass.
Actually, no, since.
Carpets?
No.
You get
Actually, green is nothing but a marketing propaganda. So it's not green anymore.
So yeah, but you know, I really have problems with carpets, and CV knows that. I keep saying, we don't need in India carpets, because cleaning, making it, actually maintaining carpets is very difficult.
You are actually commenting from a very practical standpoint.
Yeah,
and
I
not
am a
got,
practical person.
So not going by the marketing gimmicks.
Quality point, it's not at all recommended, because the small fibers that comes up mostly will carry the PM 2.5 and PM 10.
I don't like that.
That's because you probably very accustomed to clean and but if this carpets are put in at 2.5 and 10 tons, the most virus, bacteria, I'm sure you know more, is a carrier for them actually.
So that's for the carpets.
If you put a carpet, then the flying particles come and...
Yes, so I don't want to put carpets, that's what I'm saying.
You should do away with the carpet.
I believe in doing away. This is not a cold country where we need carpets.
No,
as far as possible, we'll do away with carpets.
This is the problem.
Delhi airport, unfortunately,
Oh, that's a terrible airport. You cannot pull your luggage.
The hotel where we were staying, in the hotel, is fully carpeted.
Yes.
Okay. So actually this is a problem, because when we talk about green, we talk about these things. Today morning we were discussing some of the points that we are having this green energy rated, and because green certification is a marketable option, the certification itself is nothing but a pushing things in a particular way. There is no question of any sustainable material. Sustainability is basically a concept. That concept is proven by Dr. Gupta, that you have to believe in understanding the true nature of what is sustainable and for a larger cause. This is something, so what in terms of green, we are very anti-green. In fact, Nimesh Patel has coined, and that is one of the हमारा वाला green.
अच्छा, हमारा वाला green. वो तो सुबोध गुप्ता टाइप हो गया. हमारा वाला black. You know, Subodh Gupta actually patented a black.
Okay.
Do you know that? You've seen Subodh Gupta's art? It's in London, this huge thing, those Bartan Vagara, the installation. Subodh Gupta is a huge name, but he has patented a black color. Can you believe?
No, that is so this is so basically sustainability means actually a concept. This concept is very core to the year. It is an Indian concept. Just look at any vernacular building to start with. Whatever parameters that we are fixing it today, everything is there in any rural village, in Himachal, in any kind of very extreme climate, even in the desert climate, the things that Dr. Gupta has clearly mentioned in Rajasthan. Rainwater harvesting system is as old as 400 years, used in a small medieval town called Vishnupur. It's a drought prone area which was run by the king who belonged to the fisherman community. They actually hold the water, and that became a strategic survival point of that town. What they have done is element that has, and it has a very different kind of settling areas. So there are several baths they used to call, which are very large water body area, and they use the terrain to hold that land. Whatever is the very basic of any habitation. Today Delhi is ready. All the metro cities are actually, Mumbai, you have to buy water. Darjeeling, the hill towns is really surviving only from a rented out water. This is the point. So we have to understand sustainability means different in different contexts. So as he was planning a large kind of a campus, in that campus he really pointed out the most crucial factors, and that has to be context generated. Where he is building, for what purpose he is building, and that is an institution. So whatever the value that can be promulgated can be then added to. We are not fortunate to have that kind of a large campus to deal with. So what we are trying to do is looking at our own home ground. Yesterday we are talking about the responsible construction, and that is what we are trying to say, that designers have a responsibility to design, to make things sustainable. So in this part, I'll actually directly go and try to see that how this kind of a knowledge system, traditional buildings, why we look at, because it has existed for hundreds of years without the technical gadgets. Technical gadgets in technology is something, is a kind of a scientific wisdom, scientific way of looking at things. If we take that part, that Janavi was saying that we have seen what technology could do, and the process of development, Manhattan Project, Green Revolution, and every other thing. But at the core is how you use this technology and where. Now, in vernacular things, because they don't have the gadgets, so they have to live with nature. Light is very important. Thermal control is very important. So is the ventilation, and so is the waste, the generated, and they live off the nature. We have a situation here for an orphanage. This is in a very extremely rural area, about 150 kilometers, in a small hamlet called Paushi, by the side of an Odisha-Bengal canal. It was a small kind of an orphanage of 60 students, orphans to kind of thing. So everything is like all the major institutions is grant based. So every time they have to really depend on what kind of grant to be able to survive. Penny is here. We were part of a very interesting thing called Incredible India campaign, which is basically promoting community-based rural tourism. Tourism is a circuit which is a kind of multidisciplinary. A lot of things do come in, and it is more of an experiential thing. So it is out of nowhere, you are creating a kind of interest where people should be coming. So there is a very interesting dialogue that they have borrowed. It's a Government of India and UNDP program. So they said there will be, for any development, there is a hardware component, the tangible ones that you build, and then there is a intangible component, which is the software which runs this hardware. A very interesting kind of a vocabulary to depend on. So we architects will look after the tangible parts, whereas the NGOs who are actually working with the communities looked at capacity building, soft skills, other development to run these kind of infrastructure. So one of that NGO that we worked in West Bengal, initially they were called tour and travel operators. So they were very interested. So they said, can we take up this particular model and can we implement this? So we said, fine. So all we have is a Odisha-Bengal tidal canal. So this is almost like a man-made river where the tidal things is surrounded by the rural landscape. So we called it Monchasha. It's a tourist destination that we have promoted. Next. So now this is done almost on the Loriveka style. So we went there. We actually accumulated several of the artisans and then try to see, because there was no major drawing, there was no money. So without money, how can you really develop something? So what is, we really dependent on the local skill. In the green, so-called aspects, we are giving a lot of stress on the local kind of variety. So fair enough, we got that. We started actually going around the site and trying to develop a model, a very small model in that. And we said, okay, if we can make at least a dormitories of 4, we should be able to do that. And then the idea struck, because while we were doing in Assam, in Brahmaputra Valley, there is a thing called Chang typology. There is a beautiful building which is tilted because it's in a floodplain area. So, and it is all with bamboos. And it's a very, the floor is of bamboo mat. So I said there is no windows. I said, how does it work? So they said there is no problem. In the rain, rain comes in, we know, but it doesn't stay, it goes away. So they don't try to prevent rain, but they actually allowed it and make a passage out of it. So actually it's a completely very dry, and because it's very airy. So the walls are made of bamboo mats, so the actually air breezes. So it's a very well ventilated system. So this is the wisdom that you actually adapt for that kind of climate. So accordingly we started making that. This is the tidal canal there, and we improvised this chunk typology to the Bengal typology. Next. So that is the kind of, like every institution, there is a heart, there is a core where all the public activities do take place. So we created that activities in that kind of a module where we can have the kitchen. So mud technology is very good here. So we actually employed all the mud technology to fill up with the walls instead of bamboo mats. Like kitchen and other thing, I cannot leave the bamboo open. So we improvised the mud technology and actually created this is the kind of model that we actually made at the site. So basically no drawings. This is the way we actually developed there in the site. And it became, these are people how they are actually doing the LEPA. So everything is ingrained, everything is locally sourced, put that together. Next. So finally we created this kind of, because there are ponds, so we created that kind of thing. So now we are conscious people, because all said and done, hygiene has to be an important factor. So we use grey water management. Under the steels, we use all the agriculture. We have, I don't know what a shark called. That's sap. So
greens.
It's basically leafy vegetables. Yeah. So under things, because in Chang typology, they actually hold the stocks of their boats, their piggery, their kitchen poultry, everything is under that.
Below the stills.
And below the stills, so whatever the waste that is being dropped, it is being consumed by them. So in a way, they have a kind of ecosystem built. We applied the similar thing. So it's a kind of a grey water management, and we have this sag and other thing, which is comparatively in the shaded area. It worked very well. The roof, so this is the way we kind of have, because it's Bengal, we have some kind of a, this is in the kitchen. So we have the hot air exhaust, and everything was done like that. The whole, even the cot was made of bamboo only. The floor is bamboo mats. So in a way, it gives a very kind of a different feel, a very old kind of a tradition, but a very contemporary look. We even have a chimney effect and created a skylight at the top so that hot air kind of rises up. It became so that we refused to have AC in this building. And now, after 6-8 years, this is still in the TripAdvisor's thing. It is a must visit. I mean, that is the kind of rating. It is the top rated tourism destination, very high-end tourist. So what really has done is, and then we thought building the building is not enough. The experience is enough. So we actually brought in the local folklores, the way of the rural lifestyle. So if you want to actually experience what a rural Bengal life is, so the village community do take part. So that is the kitchen and dining area. So that became an adda khana, because normally these kind of activities are completely gone. So by design, we created this kind of experience to kind of warm up. Then the dheki is there, because that is the way they used to do that. So dheki pad.
So basically, all villages would have pounding rice.
Yes.
So there will be a stick, and then there's a hole where you put the rice.
I think most of the traditional systems do have something like that.
It happens every state.
Because this is a very common to our kind of culture. So this is one aspect in we kind of, it needs a maintenance, so it's not a maintenance free. We have used thatch, the kind of variety of thatch that was originally found was not available, so we have to, so there is a regular maintenance cycle that we have now inbuilt into the term of a festival. So this is what actually, if we talk about sustainability, this is a way forward to take everything into the aspect and design.
My thing is, we are looking at laboratory buildings.
Yes.
And this is residential, tourism is fine. How do we convert some of that ethos, but where we can actually do lab work or other kinds of stuff? So,
How to multiply
how?
No.
Yeah, because some of the ethos will change. Yeah.
So while we're talking about these as buildings, but if you look at our urban jungles, extend, so this is the one all.
Yeah,
we
it's a one.
integrate some of these into or retrofit it into our town planning so that you have more, if not completely sustainable buildings.
Right. I'll come down to that. Yesterday I have shown you exactly a similar kind, the tannery, old tannery building, how that can be retrofitted into something. If you are talking about a laboratory building, okay, let us look at the functions of that. Now, for particular laboratory experiment, what is the kind of space you need? Now, there is a kind of a norms and standard, because when we talk about space, we generate about a very large space. It can be a hangar, it can be something else, but there is a kind of a possibility that light can penetrate only so much. So what will be your depth of the building? That is important. Then what is the orientation of that building? Because the way you orient your building will also be energy sources. Actually, when we talk about this vernacular building, it is actually we are talking or thinking about the design rationale. So what I can gain from here, I can utilize the similar thing in different building typology suited to this logic. That is where actually it matters. And that is why there also there is a space requirement, because if it is a graphic animation studio, you need certain pattern, certain style of operations. Depending on that, you develop that. But your approach to water doesn't change. Your approach to light doesn't change. In fact, we have done a very large advertising firm called Bates and Clarion in Calcutta, retrofitted in an existing building. There, the major departure was the major workspace, the creative space, which normally the bosses, they actually, like what he has suggested, that no part of the parcel, there was not any kind of hierarchy in that sense. But what happens to any kind of offices or compartmental buildings, you will see that it is the administrative boss, the human service, the managers, they will always get an air-conditioned space and they will occupy where? The perimeter area which has the maximum view. What they do with this? Because they are not a people who are thinking or creative. The major problem is where the production, what really happens, it is for the, because in advertising agency, the marketing people, they actually look for that kind of ambience. So what we did is, all the workspaces are on the perimeters and we put all the centralized air conditioned space in the central spine. So as where the communication is much better. And what we have done is, we have taken the advantage of the new technology. We created is almost like a Riviera. So it's a street that we created within an office space where all the workspace do come in front. So it's almost like a street, say as an urban scenario. And in the Riviera, we have created so much of daylight that you have coffee shops and everything in the street in circulation. You change the perception. So it doesn't look like a standard conventional office space with cubicles and things. People have to love to do work. And if you are thinking of creative, this is the where the design is coming in front. How you really convert this energy. And now if you can create a green space which is open like that what you have in the courtyard, but in a more intimate and accessible sense, it really increases productivity or creative productivity by 42%.
So good design space increases productivity.
Absolutely. And
Elon Musk has done it in his factory. He has his office in this central portion. Again, he just sits in an open factory. When you are suggesting about air
I completely. I've been to Google office in California.
the factory, they talk about the
So beautiful design.
actually so when we are talking about sustainability, it should be able to sustain the workers. Like he has put the students at approach first. So here we in a lab situation, because laboratory otherwise is a very kind of a siloed kind of a intention. But you are not always concentrating on that. You have to leave a space for thinking. Where is that interaction space? Our research where interactive space is an essential component of design. If you don't really revolve around that, then the ideas don't come. Ideas come through interactions, not only on the laboratory space. So this is when we said, so the departure of an idea should be like that. I'll just take you to an urban situation in a different scale. That next, the other one.
Achha, we have 10 minutes
Oh,
more.
I think I'll stop there because then many will not have enough time.
Only thing is Dr. Gupta's side. Because you have to leave at 2:40 and you have to...
No, we are going same way.
You are going the same.
Because I have 6, he is
Okay.
5:45. Okay, please.
But very good presentation.
Wow. I don't have any slides to show. So, I'm talking in a slightly different perspective. One is that sustainability should be seen in a very broad context. It is not the environmental sustainability which is the top. Social sustainability is very critical.
You want to use the mic? Can you hear there or?
You can hear.
Okay, fine.
Not able to. Yeah. Hello. Yeah. So it's not the social, it's not the environmental sustainability. I have to look at social, cultural, psychological sustainability also, which in many cases we forget about it. This is one of the very common things which has happened. In India, during the 60s and 70s and 80s, all these vernacular buildings which Anjan was trying to show around has been replaced by flat concrete roof buildings. I grew up in a flat concrete roof building which my father built in 1960s. Summer you cannot sit inside during lunchtime. This time you cannot sit inside. Very hot. We used to cut coconut leaves and put on top so that at least, and paint white color. The lime wash used to put on top of the terrace. And this is not something which has happened to the house which my father has built. It has happened to every house which has come up in our cities and rural areas.
Which place was
This is in Kerala, in a small village. No, everywhere. I mean, it's not the same as what I'm talking about all over India. This is what has happened, and this is what is happening. So this is where we have to look at sustainability. Now, there is no thermal comfort. And also there is one more thing. Last year, July 19, London recorded a temperature more than 40 degrees. July 19th. Highest ever recorded temperature in London with no air conditioning in most of the buildings. People were dying, and old people especially. I was in Italy in last summer during the same time. Emergency was declared by the government. It's not only the hot wave which is spreading across Delhi or Warangal or Hyderabad or any of the cities, it is the cold wave is also happening. In Mumbai, for example. recorded some of the temperatures was never recorded at any point at the time. So this is the thing which we have to look at. What kind of buildings are we building? Is the modern architecture doing the right thing for the people? And look at a flat concrete roof building. I'll try to tell, it is not the fault of the concrete. You have a 100 square feet, 10 by 10 building, which has a concrete roof. No chajjas, no projections, nothing. The wall area is 400 square feet. So it's 100 square feet transmits heat inside. Coefficient of thermal conductivity is a little bit more in concrete, but the walls and the glass transmit more heat than the concrete. So when you have a glass facade building, which is 400 square feet of the area, I'm just talking about a single story. You can just imagine what is the wall area when the building becomes 10 stories and 20 stories. The entire heat is transmitted inside. And we are making an oven inside the houses. Of course, we had a technology called air conditioning, which you were talking about. Air conditioning became very common in the 1930s. But until the 1980s, we did not realize that the gas which was used to do the air conditioning is depleting the ozone layer. By 2020, India is also not supposed to do. But we can run the existing systems till 2040 because it is depleting the ozone layer. The thought process in the 1920s and 30s, we have a technology by which we need not follow the local climate. We need not build with local materials. But what we created is what has led to this human-driven problem. So this is the context in which we can try to look at, we have to look at the building. Now look at the durability of buildings. When I joined my first year in civil engineering in 1979, my professor of civil engineering told me, you are going to create buildings which are going to last 750 years. Which person will think that the concrete buildings will last 750 years? The thought process has changed. When I did my master's in UK in 1986-87, which was the topmost institute in the world teaching conservation of buildings, there were 2 books on conservation of concrete buildings. Now there will be 2,000 books on conservation of concrete. There was a time people thought that if concrete buildings last, I ask this question to every forum when I do, nobody tells me more than 75 years. Some people say 30 years, some people say 50 years. So if we know a technology which lasts only for 35 years or 50 years or 75 years, why are we teaching the younger generation of architects and engineers to build in concrete? We don't teach them about mud or bamboo or timber or thatch or any of these things. Where we know very clearly that our traditional buildings lasted for more than 100 years or 1,000 years or more than that. I don't have belief in any of the modern materials. Asbestos, when it was used in the 19th century, it was considered to be a wonderful building material. People thought that it solved the housing problem, but till the 1960s, we didn't know that it caused cancer. 1970s and 80s, now India has also banned cancer. We have banned asbestos because it causes cancer. All the plywood which is there is producing formaldehyde as a vapor, and formaldehyde is a carcinogen. We are breathing carcinogen. I have a client who is an oncosurgeon. He says many patients, cancer patients are increasing. You just check your family, somebody goes around you. Because we are breathing carcinogen. 10 years ago, melamine plates were used in every wedding and function, cheaper thing. It is banned now. Nobody sells melamine plates, any of these things. I'm talking about the kind of lifestyle. So what sustainability are we talking about? Not just the buildings. We have to see things in a very holistic way, which is very, very important. We need to have an integrated approach towards sustainability. The present approach, I agree with both Dr. Vinod and Dr. Anjan, that lead is a marketing It is so superficial that is not doing any justice to any of the problems that we are facing in sustainability or climate change or global warming or whatever these things are doing. If we look at sustainability, the best sustainable measure is to conserve our historic buildings, old stock, because they already made its impact on the building. The greatest principle in conservation is reuse, recycle. When you are doing recycling of the entire building when you do conservation. Why are we demolishing our historic buildings? I mean, we don't mind going and staying in a historic building for paying $1,000 a night, and we call it heritage houses for Havelis and things like that. If an old building doesn't have natural light, the solution is to put a new window. Who prevents you from doing it? Why are our approach not changing? And you cannot blame the architects and engineers because they have been taught like that. What we need is not medicines, we need a major surgery, which is very, very important. And nowadays, timber is considered to be the most sustainable building material. Bamboo, yes, bamboo and timber and all those things, because considered to be. There is 1 year ago, a building of 24 stories high was inaugurated in Austria, Hoho Tower. You can Google and find out. 85% is timber. I myself have seen timber buildings not built, recently, multi-story timber buildings in London city itself. There are architects who do buildings in timber. The whole satellite township is coming in Finland, built with timber. So we have to look at this. Why are we not taught about any of this? Why are we not talking about these things? We are pulling down the historic buildings, we are pulling down these, we are pulling down the earth buildings and all those. It's a serious problem which we have to. Unfortunately, the modern technology has failed to address this issue. And it's not a problem which we will face when I'm working in sustainability or watching sustainability on these issues for the last 30, 35 years or 40 years. I initially thought I will never live to see this problem. But now I know, I've already seen it. Bangalore has 3 floods in last 2 years. I think Hyderabad also had floods, which was never unheard of. Chennai had floods. I am a victim of flood. I had to escape in a boat in which the area where I was staying. So it's a man-made problem. But who made it? 700 billion people in the world. It's a problem created by 100 billion people. Not 600 billion people are innocent in this exercise. Now, an average American produces 16.5, I'm telling from memory, might not be exactly, 16.5 tons of carbon emission. A person living in Qatar is making an average per capita carbon emission is 43.4 tons. An average Ethiopian makes 0.9, average Indian makes 1.6 tons. Bangladeshis make much less per capita than Indians. Even the Indonesians and the Indians and the Ethiopians and the Bangladeshis produce carbon emission equivalent to that of an average American, the world will come to an end. It will come to halt. I am said in many forums, I'm still saying it here, it will be another 20 years when the government will put a ban on new buildings. New buildings. Whose way? This is already climate change and everything is happening. Nothing, if things are going from worse to worse, 3,000 climate scientists say that the temperature should be controlled, Kyoto Protocol, what have we achieved? We had a politician like Trump or one president talk in forums about sustainability like this, that everything should be done. But what are we doing as a country or as a community or as a people or as an organization? This is very critical and this is a serious issue which is to be done. Build according to the climate, I'll just 2 minutes, I'll just finish it. Build according to the climate, use local materials, use timber as a building material, use bamboo as a building material. We can still build 24-story Hoho Tower in Vienna is the classic case, 85% timber, including the external cladding. Hoho Tower in Vienna. Now another 26-story building is in the making. So we have to look at the latest 21st century know-how. What the science are. What science are we using in our buildings? What savings are we making? We know very well how much heat is transferred by the concrete and by the glass, but still we build in glass. And this is where the problem is. And if we don't do it, we will be doing a great injustice to our children and our grandchildren. It is possible to build, with an optimism, it is possible to build, but architects and engineers have to drastically change their attitude towards what a sustainable building is. It is not which is done according to LEED rating or Graha rating. It is something which is different, which our ancestors have shown all these years. That is what Anjan was trying to tell. I'm emphasizing that. That is what is required. You can still build multi-story buildings, but do it in such a way that the buildings last. Sorry, you can
The topic you're talking is something very close to my husband and me. So we actually, so when we started saying that let's look at sustainable home, biggest challenge we found was awareness, accessibility, skill sets. So sitting in a city like Hyderabad, I did not know of architects who knew about it. We found architects, in fact we spoke to you as well. But then if there's an architect, where is the resources for people who have the skill to even develop it using equal resources? Those are the things. If you want to get supplies which will work within that ecosystem, where are the suppliers? So when you find the challenge, the pain for somebody to look at that, how does it take? Because once the pain goes away, then it becomes part of the ecosystem. So how can we include it as part of the ecosystem?
It's a curriculum. Curriculum is none of the engineers and architects are taught about these things.
People like us.
You have to,
So we were like, because we said we have to do something which is different, and we wanted to see that how we can look at it. And it was just a struggle because we have to educate ourselves. And,
yes.
And educating ourselves itself, we're trying to find materials. Where are the materials? Where are the resources to educate ourselves?
It's not. You see.
So I want to know about what building materials are available. I don't have a resource. You have to go Google, and Google is, Google
Yeah.
So if you find a justifiable, then there are volumes of language where we don't understand.
Actually, Google is your artificial intelligence which is without any intelligence. It is basically a data accumulation and pattern. What is important is that searching for material is next door. In fact, actually the thing that I have not shown you, it is an extension of an original, a small little existing building. So when we transformed it, we didn't buy, so we used recycled old materials which are now being demolished. Now the thing is, so it is not, you have to really search for the material. You definitely know what is available and put it together.
But Anjan, the problem is that Anjan and I will perhaps know, or some architects will know, but it doesn't reach the public. There is only 2% of the Indian population have access to architects, and out of the 2%, how many will advise properly? That is the problem.
If I want to put a sellotape somewhere and fix something else, my father-in-law, the local jockeydaar, will be able to tell me about what I can do. But that's not a viable solution. But if I want to understand that information doesn't have not percolated down.
No, it's a very, very tricky situation now where education is not happening, awareness is not there. People don't know. Many people make this, whoever wants to doesn't have access to such an information system. It's very unfortunate. And if you approach a conventional engineer, they will or architect, they will say, don't do like this. You understand? It's a very, very tricky question. But I am of the opinion it will be forced to do things. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Everything came together in the span of 9 months. What takes 5 years, 8 years happened in a year.
Of course. See, the thing is, where are we moving? All the Kyoto Protocol and all these things, none of them are being implemented. Which country has followed the Kyoto Protocol?
So one thing that
heating, the AC.
And there's a bigger society called Ashton, which is the American. There'll be no tables.
There'll be no tables.
No, you see.
And in fact, if I become them, I become the villain.
No, it's not.
But I say, in the interest of the nation, I am the
No, I see.
But still we are too possible.
I think
This is what
our role is to bridge people. And it takes time, but we can still do it. If we can.
what Sharma sir told. Pangal lena padega.
Pangal to lena padega.
No, it is.
But we work with government in 50 years back. How tough was to even talk about anything with government? They won't even
Government is
understand.
receptive. I think the government is
Now, government has been receptive, but there are lots of people coming. But what you are saying is people with interest, in the interest of time. People with positive, their profit interest will always organize. But what we will do is, we will move to the food area and have the discussion. Because I do not want
Then to business life.
to business life. That will be.
one social kind of thing we build.
We will do
Like-minded
it
people.
slowly.
Only like-minded people.
Do things slowly. And but at the same time very focused. Very
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to MyStartup TV.
He has not only pioneered the Engineered in India brand, but has been a driving force behind the global success of the organization. He is the Chairman Board of Governance IIT Hyderabad and IIT Roorkee. As the visionary founder director of T-Hub, his insights have been instrumental in shaping innovation ecosystems, fostering the growth of startups. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the esteemed Mr. BVR Mohan Reddy Garu onto the dais.
It's indeed an honor and pleasure to address you on this special occasion of T-Hub celebrating its 8th anniversary. As the founding director, I have seen how T-Hub has grown over years. And certainly, to me, T-Hub is an epitome of public-private partnership. We see the people who played a critical role at the leadership level. To start with, the state government and the leader had the vision in making sure that further it got executed with the leadership of Jayesh Garu and the rest of the team in the government. Thereafter, if you see the further participation, the best of academic institutions which are in Hyderabad participated through their involvement in the growth of T-Hub. Whether it's to start with its triple IT, PJ Narayanan, Professor PJ Narayanan is here, or ISB, Professor Ajit Rangnekar is here, or we are missing some of them from ISB or from the Nalsar University. But equally important is the role played by the corporate world, the private corporate world. People like Srini Raju, who is here, Sashi Reddy, and a few others have also been very, very critical role they played in making sure T-Hub is where it is today. But it's just not the people who have been on the board. To me, any institution's success is largely driven by leadership. And been very fortunate to have 3 rounds of leadership changes, all right, but at the same time, leadership which was exemplary. To start with, we had Srini Kullipara and J. Krishnan. That was the first round I had. The second round, we had Ravi. And now we have an outstanding CEO in MSR, or Mahankali Srinivasarao Garu. So I think any institution, if you look at it, leaving apart the board has more relevance and role to play in terms of governance, strategy, vision. These are the things. But on the ground, the execution is done by the CEO. So I'd like to congratulate MSR, especially for providing the leadership for the last 3 years. Outstanding job, MSR. Congratulations to you. And we certainly want to acknowledge, look at the infrastructure that got created. I didn't see Jayesh Garu, so I didn't want to call out his name, but I'd like to congratulate Jayesh Garu and on behalf of T-Hub, thank him for all the support he provided over the last 8 years to build the T-Hub in what it is. So join your hands to thank Jayesh Garu. And of course, you know, we talked about how ecosystem helped us where it is today. There are several ecosystem players, whether it was the mentors, or it's the financial advisors, or the people who helped us in terms of investing, the venture capitalists. All of them had an extremely important role, and we like to express a sense of gratitude to all of them for building this outstanding institution, which anywhere you'd like to count it, any way you want to count it, it's the best institution for a startup ecosystem in the country today. Hopefully, I will see this institution grow to be one of the best in the world in coming, say, 5 years or 10 years. That's the objective or the vision that we have to lay for T-Hub. Given the opportunity that I have in terms of talking to my dear friends from startups, let me share a few thoughts with you, 3 of them to be more precise. The first one is, how many of you use generative AI? Can you put your hands up, please? In your day-to-day life. Perfect. That's reasonable. How many startups use generative AI in their offerings? Can you put up your hands up, please? I just saw 1, 2. There are about 3, 4 of them that have come up now. That is somewhat disappointing to me, because I believe that AI is going to be the game changer for all of us, irrespective of the industry, the product, the service that you're in years to come. I think MSR said Narayan Murthy believed only in terms of numbers, so do I. And I have a few numbers to share with you. If you look at the influence of AI at this point of time, which is now performing as good as human beings, the first example is handwriting recognition. I believe for handwriting recognition, AI tools from ground zero, it took 20 years to come to where we are today. It does 100% recognition. It's equal to a human being. The second one I have is speech recognition. It also took 20 years to do that. But there are 3 other areas I like to call out, which actually at this point of time are exceeding the performance of human beings. 3 of them that are there at 120% efficiency than a human being. The first one is the image recognition. That's at 120% efficiency of a human being. And you see this happening extensively in a number of fields. I actually happened to meet with 2 very eminent doctors who use technology to its best. They're the leading edge technology at this point of time. Professor Leroy Hood, who was here last week and spent time with Jayesh Garu also. And another gentleman called Dr. Joseph, what's his last name? I think it's Sir Joseph Suji, I guess. He's a Chinese guy from Nanyang Polytechnic Institute. And both of them talked about healthcare being today enabled by AI. They think 5 years from now, any doctor anywhere in the world, any doctor anywhere in the world will have to have an AI assist tool with them. So, but what we are seeing further is just not that AI has certainly been assisting people, but the pace at which it's assisting people. Let me call out three examples. I believe right now, no-code code generation for any application today can be done to the level of 70% efficiency of human beings, and that was achieved in just 4 years. We believe that it can get to 100% fairly soon. Or the grade school math got to a level of 80% efficiency of a human being, like a high school child. You give a math problem, it solves exactly as what a student would do, and it just took 6 months to get to that level of efficiency. And lastly, if you get the common sense completion, which is at 100% right now, you get to give 3 bullet points, and you get 3 paragraphs as an output, absolute accurate paragraphs. And that has taken nothing more than 3 months to do, from 0 to 100% today. So therefore, AI is going to be everywhere. So it has become a de facto standard in any application that you do. So here is one more one more set of data that I have for all of to share with you. Is Goldman Sachs did this research in terms of going back and finding out how many of their clients would use AI in their applications, and what is the likely spend in each one of the sectors that they've identified. They think in medical, media, and telecom, 90% of their clients are expecting AI to be used. And the impact is very high, and the likely benefits they believe will come to this set of industries, which technology, media, and telecom, is as much as $860 billion. And if you look at the second one in my list, is industrials have an acceptance level of, they all expect 40% of the customers believe that AI will play a role in industries. And that impact is somewhere in the range of about $500 billion. If you look at a few other industries like healthcare, which is a very high impact industry too, it's about $260 billion. And thereafter it's financial services, consumer retail, real estate, and then you have natural resources. The sum total of savings customers are expecting out of AI usage is right now $3.2 trillion in these named industries. So obviously, people have a lot of expectations for AI to be used and a lot of money to spend on you. If they're expecting so much of savings to happen, obviously they will do a lot of spend. So my first takeaway to my young friends here is that please use AI. AI is all over the place. It has to get into your offering too. And truly, I think MSR or one of them said that Hyderabad has to become India's AI capital. And if that vision has to be true, if that dream has to be true, I think we have to definitely start with our startups too. My second piece of advice to all of you is that we have seen how the talent wars are going on at this point of time. The largest IT services company in this country, which is 500,000 people strong, were losing at 26% on a yearly basis, which is roughly, to give you a flavor, which means that they lose about 125,000 people every year, or they lose about 10,000 people every month. Every month, trust me. This is all public data. So obviously, the startups are also under enormous amount of pressure. You may not reveal it to me, but I know with the startup ecosystem that I work, how much pressure you have with the talent. So therefore, I think startups have to pay a lot of attention to your talent. Your ability to recruit them, retain them, reward them, retrain them, that's equally important, is going to be very critical for your success. So please do not ignore the talent part of it. We are seeing several of them suffering today because of attrition on talent. And one sure way, and please don't be miserly on that, please be liberal in terms of trying to share wealth with the wealth creators. The wealth creators for your startup is going to be the people. It's going to be the talent. So if you ask me the question, Mr. Reddy, how much have you shared? In just one company, that we have 2 publicly traded companies, it is all documented again. We so far shared 1,000 crores with our employees. That's what we did. So talent is the second one. So please nurture talent, recruit the best, retain them, reward them, and retrain them. My last takeaway for you this evening is on governance. And I think the future of this world will all depend upon the ESG, environment, social, and governance. I will not spend time on ES part of it, but governance is, I think, extremely important for even early stage startups. The simple reason for it is it doesn't require any effort. It requires only one thing in my mind. It requires discipline with you. I was so disappointed today that a startup where I'm invested sends me last year's balance sheet, that's 2023, the year closing on 31st of March. It landed on my email this morning. I do not understand why people should take reasonably successful, not that it's not an unsuccessful startup. To me, only one thing comes to my mind is lack of discipline. And you have to recognize by putting the right levels of governance, there are enormous amount of benefits that could come to you. Look at your own P&L. Large companies, mine is not large, I would probably somewhere in the medium-sized company that I am, we get our P&Ls every month before the 10th of the month. Every month. And with a revenue profile which is somewhere in the range of about 500 to 600 crores a month, that's what our run rate is. If we could do it, I do not see why a startup should not be doing it. And what we have seen is it is actually not benefiting the investor, but it will benefit you itself, because you then realize what you need to do next because of your performance. But people wait for 3 months. Actually, we have some of the companies that I'm involved with, we have our quarterly board meetings. And even the quarterly board meetings do not happen after the quarter closes. It happens about 45 days, 60 days after the quarter closes. So I'm only trying to tell you is that we do not want too many calamities of people driving their businesses as they like. I'm sure I don't want to name the company, you know, an edtech company where valuation dropped from $22 billion to $4 billion in the recent past. Or sorry, I'll take it back, $2 billion in the recent past. Or today morning we saw a payment gateway company where, you know, the founders took away money left, right, and center, writing checks as they like. If you had governance, your truth, and you know, this is not short-term game. Please believe in that. It's a long-term game. If you think you will definitely make money at the end of it, not necessarily upfront loading it. So I'll leave these 3 thoughts with you. Technology is all pervasive. AI is going to be the future of the universe. Talent is going to be critical for all of our success. Governance will take you to places in years to come. So thank you very much to T-Hub for giving me this opportunity. Congratulations to T-Hub team for their outstanding work that they've done. There are a number of people, number of faces I can recognize around me. And we wish you all good luck. Thank you.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to MyStartuptv.
Is a distinguished civil
in the government, some of you are investors, some are members of the community, but in some way or the other, we are all beneficiaries of each other. And to see an institution in which we are all invested so much, do so well, become some kind of a national role model, international role model, it really gladdens my heart. In fact, occasions like this also makes me feel very nostalgic because, as was pointed out, I have been there literally from the day one, day zero actually, of this institution, and to think back of those days, those times is something which is very, very kind of nostalgic for me. So while we have celebrated 8 years today, while we have completed 8 years now, obviously the preparatory idea is preparatory work began almost a year or a year and a half before that. Literally after the formation of Telangana state, I still remember 9.5 years ago, when our minister got this idea that let the government itself create a innovation space where local minds and talents can all be converged, and we can do some absolutely great work there. But not too many takers for this idea. In fact, as all of us know, in other cities where innovation ecosystems have grown big, a city like Bangalore, for example, or Gurgaon, or Pune, or Bombay, and even elsewhere, the popular narrative is that these should be allowed to happen by themselves. The growth should happen organically. The markets will select who is the winner, who is to be kind of supported. Governments don't have any role in this. That is the popular narrative. And of course, uh, this narrative has been in some ways fed by the IT industry. The IT industry today claims that because the government stayed away these kind of subjects. Very contrary view. We try to promote a counter narrative that governments can actually do quite a lot, provided their support is very strategic and it really addresses. I still remember one sentence she has been kind of bringing to our notice again and again in whatever aspect he wants the government to really take the first step forward. Understand what the pain points are, and then your job should be to find solutions to those pain points. Don't do anything beyond that. Just solve their problems, solve their obstacles. As again, Srini mentioned, someone else alluded to. So, 9 years ago, that is how the idea came that let's bring out a good policy which explains, in our opinion, what are pain points and what we are going to do about those pain points. So, many of you may not know this, but the initial thought behind creating this facility, of course, this is the new facility. We used to have a facility in the Triple I campus for many years. The idea of providing space was that demand came from startups. In those days, there were hardly 50, 60 startups in Ahmedabad. But when we met, one of the demands which had come from them was that in this enclave, which we all know as Hyderabad, the land rentals, the property rentals rather are very kind of high for a startup to take property here for its profits is impossible. True also, because you are the beginning of a journey, you can't have that kind of revenue to pay for, let us say, 70 rupees an NFT or 80 rupees an NFT. Of course, in those days, it won't kind of access to market, what kind of contracts with corporates, with governments, and helping them build their teams, improve their technologies, every possible help which a startup will require, lots of regulatory expectations, some cases. When all that began to happen, the, the kind of the flavor of innovation spaces in our country for sure changed, and in no time we have become a role model. In something which I feel very proud about. I mentioned this. This is the board run institution. It is very easy for a facility which was created by the government to be literally taken over by the government, hijacked by the government, and converted, ruin it, so to say, by their own inefficiencies and their own kind of vested interest. But we deliberately chose not to go down that path, give complete autonomy to the board, take decisions, and we have a very, very experienced board, people who are genuinely well-wishers of not just this institution, but possible impact it can have on the state, on the city, on the country as a